we live now?
Yeah,
No,
we
we're not.
live now.
Yeah, no, we'll talk. There we are. Okay.
Hey, everybody, this is Jim West, Gary Richmond, and Dale Ross. Well, on Talking Preps Friday nights. Hey, Coach Capone. Can you
Hello?
hear us, Coach? Hey, Coach, can you
Yeah,
hear us?
I got you. How are y'all?
Doing pretty good. More importantly, how are you doing?
Uh, I'm all right. Win's a win, so it was ugly, but sometimes you gotta win ugly. So
You know, I picked you guys to win by 17. You came pretty close to my prediction, by the way, so I'm happy about that. But I was laughed at.
why?
You tell
Sorry,
them I was right, though.
sorry we didn't cover for you guys.
No, that's all right, man. You did a good job. I mean, I was laughed at.
Thank you.
Everybody else said it was going to be a lot closer than that.
Yeah, it was a good game. I mean, credit to Independence. They played really hard, really well. And we just didn't play great offensively, to be honest. They forced some turnovers. We created ourselves some turnovers. But defensively, our team played really, really well, and we're able to hold them to 2 field goals, and we put them in bad spots too. So vintage Weddington defensive performance tonight. But we definitely got to be better offensively next week going to Grimsley. So.
Oh, I understand that. Would you prefer it to be maybe, I don't know, 25 degrees warmer?
Yeah, that would be nice, but hey, when you play in December, you know what you're going to get. And our kids have been there. Obviously, fourth straight year we've played Grimsley, so
Wow.
we know what to expect up there. We know what we're going to get. And our kids, they've said they wanted this moment. All off season, all summer, they've talked about getting back to Grimsley, and now it's the opportunity. They're extremely good. Obviously, everybody knows that. But our kids are going to have a great week of practice, and they'll be ready to go.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I'm so proud of you. It's always good to see a Union County guy get up there. Of course, I'm from Stanley County, so there's always that connection there with Union County. So I know Dale and Gary would love to have probably got some questions for you.
Yeah, Coach. At what point in the game do you think it turned in where you felt a little bit more comfortable with the direction the game was headed?
Yeah, I mean, I felt good the first drive. We forced them to punt early, and had a really good first drive, and then we ran a reverse in the red zone and had one guy to beat with two blockers, and they both missed, and then did kind of one of our throwback throws, and we threw a pick. So, but really, after we gave up, fumbled the ball going into half, and we held them to three, I felt really good, and obviously we were able to punch it in twice there in the second half, but I felt like the whole time defensively we didn't feel like we were going to give up many points. So, we probably went too conservative offensively early, but just knowing that the defense was going to take care of it. But sometimes you got to win ugly, and you got to rely on your defense, and that defense keeps showing up and playing, and but. Good overall team win. We did what we needed to do offensively late in the game to get a big win, and that's a really good Independence team, and yeah, so we're happy for the win for sure.
Did they surprise you with anything that they did?
Did they surprise us?
With anything that they did that you hadn't seen?
No, felt like they didn't run it as much as maybe I would have thought, for sure. But I felt like we had the ball for, I don't know, 80% of the time. We were just grinding out 3-4 yards, and but then we just got these silly penalties, holds, false starts, and we're sitting there in third and 12 plus, and it's just hard as an offense to get rolling in a rhythm in third and 12. So they were faster on defense than I had expected from film. They did a great job, and really, later in the game, they just loaded the box, and they knew I wanted to run the ball, and they were just going to convert everybody to running the ball. So maybe that, but like I said, probably the speed was a little bit overall, I was just they were a lot faster than I had thought.
So I want to ask you a question. Were they able to? It looks like from what I saw, the scoring as it went through, you guys didn't pound and run away with it this time. My question for them in this game was going to be, could they handle your physicality? And I just want to ask you, how were they able to handle that?
Yeah, I mean, us when we were on offense, they loaded the box, and they're smaller. I know their coaches said they're a smaller defense, but they were fast off the ball. They tried to close all the inside gaps, and then have some of those safeties that walk down in their 4-4 or whatever. Be able to take C gap outside. So anytime you tried to bounce anything, it wasn't going to work. So that was one thing. We hit some explosive plays early. We just didn't capitalize in the red zone, and that's something I got to do a better job as a coach of knowing exactly what I want to go to in the red zone and stuff like that. But like I said, they tried to get the running game going early, and I felt like they got away from it. We did a good job of making it one-dimensional, and we created turnovers too. So I think there was 6 total turnovers in the game, and if it was 6-0, it'd probably been a lot better for us. But like I said, credit to our defense for holding it down. But we definitely got to clean up the turnovers, and we definitely got to clean up the penalties. Two pass interferences that gave him 30 yards, and unsportsmanlike that gave him a free first down. And like I said, just playing behind the chains a lot. So I feel like that's stuff that they didn't cause that we need to correct on our end. And I think, like I said, our kids were probably amped up for the moment and stuff like that. And I know penalties happen, but we can definitely play cleaner.
Well, Coach Capone, we wish you the best for next week. I know you got a big game over in Greensboro, and we also have a fellow coach that won a game today, Coach Baker over at Huff. I'm sure the two of
What's
you
up,
probably have some things to celebrate about.
Yeah, congrats to Huff, man. That was a dominant win.
Yeah, well, we trying, man. We trying.
Oh yeah, you can be happy for a little bit now. You got a whole bye week now, so you
man,
can be happy right now and then get going.
I got a list of names I need to run off, man. People that be doubting us, like Chris Hughes and Coach Hales and Langston, and always what Huff gonna do, and Chris never happy. He's never happy for us. He never gives us any credit. Everybody's on the West Charlotte bandwagon. People seem to forget that they lost to us 40-14 last year. They forget. Capone, I don't get it, bro. I don't get it. But
hey, that's where you want to be, man. No one's gonna give us a shot at Grimsley, and our kids are going to appreciate that, man. We like being the underdog. So
hey, we do too. But at some point, you got to give credit when credit due.
Let me tell you something, Andy. Coach Baker definitely was happy tonight, and he was celebrating.
I know it.
And he should. His team played phenomenal tonight.
Well, that's awesome. Y'all talk to Bake and have a great one. I appreciate all your
Capone,
coverage.
congratulations, dog. I'll call you tomorrow.
You I too, man. Congrats.
I gotta get some points from you. You know what I'm saying? From a state champ. You know what I mean?
Hey, Bake.
I hit you up tomorrow, Capone.
All right, man. Y'all be good. Thanks again.
Thank you, Coach Capone.
Hey, Bake.
Yes, sir.
I'm getting ready to be critical. What's up with blowing all them timeouts tonight?
Man, listen, man. For some reason, man, my kids out there, they can't see. I think they need glasses. So when we call the play, man, and they act like they can't see because they're on the other side of the ball, we like, listen, echo the play. And so by the time we get ready to run the play, the thing on play clock is at 5, and we got to burn the timeout. But, we got to, man, it's something that we got to clean up. We got to clean up before 2 weeks, so.
I thought you were acting like Griner. Griner blows time out.
Man, listen, Gary, listen. I was livid. Trust me, I was livid. I didn't want to burn them. But this is something as a coaching staff, man. Offensively, we got to do better at getting the play out there quicker. We got to adjust so we can do it.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna put it all on the kids.
Yeah.
But the fact is, you do have to call them. And I think you did the right thing in calling them. So, if you don't, you're going to get yourself 5 more yards back. And
right.
No, you did the right thing in calling them. It was. I get what Gary's asking though, because it was.
100%.
Well, I've always said on here that Huff had a better staff than West Charlotte.
Yeah,
And so,
appreciate it.
we talk about the operations. I look at the game
Mhm.
like a coach. I look at
Right.
the coaches coach up the players between series. Do they have the players sitting down? Are they ready to go on third down if they got to have special teams? I look at the game operations, and I hadn't seen Huff that rusty in game operations before. And I see West Charlotte like that all the time. I expected that.
You know what,
But
man? You know what? It's we honestly, Gary, man, we did a better job tonight. I think we might have had two tonight. And shoot, man, last game we had more than that. I'm like, man, we got to clean it up, man. We got to clean it up, and that's some of it is on me as the play caller, getting the play out there quicker. Like I said, to make sure they got enough time to adjust when they got to. But again, I mean, I'll take it. I'll take the ugly win and with the little penalties, and I guarantee we'll be cleaned up in 2 weeks.
Coach Becker, I got to ask you a
John-
question. Are you looking forward to going to Chapel Hill?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it, man. Everybody keep asking me, what we're gonna do with the bye week and this and that. Like again, man, I'm a creature of habit. I don't like to change a lot. You know what I mean? If it's working, don't fix it. So, I'm gonna try to keep everything normal as we would for a regular bye week. And of course, I talked to some coaches that's been there before and see how they may have done things, and just to get an idea if I need to, add something to it or something like that. But other than that, we're gonna keep the main thing and get ready to go.
So to stick with Gary's game operations, and trust me, Coach, Gary, I don't know. We talked a long time after our show Wednesday night, and that was a big part of his conversation was about your ability of game operations. Now we'll set the timeouts for delay of game aside. Your second half performance was spot on. And can you tell me what adjustments you made at halftime to really flip and the game really did, in my opinion, flip at that point?
Well, honestly, man, we practiced something totally different for West Charlotte. They came out, they didn't do anything that we've been watching them do on film against other teams. And so, like what they did against us, we didn't really practice for it. You know what I mean? Because if they gave it to us, we was good because we see it all the time. But I just didn't think they did what they've been doing all year against us. I guess they were trying to do something different, and we realized that we could run the ball and get going in the run game. So that's what we did. And we took advantage of some some one-on-one matchups that they was giving us that we talked about as a coaching staff at halftime. And, our kids came out and executed the adjustments at halftime.
that was a heck of a throw in that back corner.
Yeah, it was.
Whoa. Now,
he threw it before he even came out the break.
Now, Coach, we're going to look at, I got a good angle on that.
Don't bring that up. Don't you bring that up.
Goodness. I was right down there in the end zone. And so I followed that play. I was able to follow him all the way into the catch and as he went out of the end zone. And well,
I couldn't really, I'm gonna be honest with you, I really couldn't see it. I just seen that he came down with that was a good ball by Ethan right there too. That was a great ball.
That was a great play. It really was. I thought he was going to go in with it, but
yeah.
Did you on that play right there? Was that the back out on a wheel route?
Yes, sir. We seen that the outside guy, he kept going. He kept going with the point guy. So we try to leak him out the back and put a back shoulder throw on him.
Yeah, that was a nice play. That was a great call.
Yeah. And that run right there was just awesome.
Man, let me tell you something.
Here it is, Coach. Now watch.
Oh, that touchdown. That's touchdown.
That's touchdown.
That touchdown.
I don't know if he had possession of the ball as he was going out of the bounds. So.
Hey, Mr. Dale, the referees called it a touchdown.
He called it a touchdown. It's a touchdown. Yeah, we can't go back and change it, but
that's touchdown.
Oh, that's touchdown.
That's touchdown.
That's touchdown. That's touchdown.
Well, Coach, I got to ask you, how
that ball
did
was kind of doing this, but the official called
Coach,
it a touchdown.
how did the weather
Hey, Coach,
impact the game?
Coach, let me ask you
it
something. You
it
know, they
wasn't
asked
it
me at
wasn't
the
that.
beginning of the week, they asked me, is this going to be a holler game? And I was like, yeah, I don't think they're going to do a whole lot of hollering. You
Right.
know, they used to being there and that kind of stuff. I think the coaches had more fun at the 50 than the players did.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
man. I mean, you know how that go, man. I mean, Sam came out there with his shirt off and stuff. I'm like, what? I mean, come on, man. But I guess, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they thought we were gonna be intimidated because they came out there with their shirt off. And I'm like, listen, our team, man, they take on the persona of their coaches. And like, we don't do that. We don't back down for nobody. They're not backing down for nobody, and they're not gonna be scared because you come out with your shirt off and it's cold outside. Like, that's great. You want to get sick? You want to get chest cold? Whoop de do.
Well, I tell you what, though, if you're in Chapel Hill in 2 weeks, we'll try our best to get it a little bit warmer. I mean, it's 75 and sunny right now, so just come on down, man.
Well,
I think
Coach,
Chachi did more. I didn't hear all the pregame yelling that apparently was going on, but this is Mallard Creek fans kind of attitude here.
No, man, you know what it is, man. What it is, you know, we hear everything like Brian and them talking about we the Lake boys and they stay in these type of houses and they do all that. Like when coaches start doing that against us, when they start talking about what kind of cars our kids drive and what kind of house they stay in, they ain't trying to coach no ball. They ain't worried about no football. They trying to get their kids hyped up. Like where my kids staying, what they drive, what they got to do with the football game. They got nothing to do with the football game. So, you know, I guess they feel like, you know, that since I guess we're the Lake boys, Cornelius, whatever, that they can come out yelling. I guess we're gonna get scared or something. I don't know.
well, were they gracious losers?
You know what, man? You know what? They came over and they was like, you know, because it was getting chippy and everything. They was like, hey, nobody goes to the line, just the coaches. You know what I'm saying? Yada yada yada. And so the kids, I mean, I guess they talked to their friends after the fact. But you know, we didn't want to take a chance of something happening and then somebody suspended for the championship game, so we kind of just like did the coach thing. So
Okay. I left when y'all went up 24-0. I said, let me beat this traffic. I figured they couldn't score 4 more in 5 minutes. They couldn't.
no,
They didn't 4 scores in 5 minutes.
I guess
But
we'll be
then I
having
thought, I
Krispy
said, well,
Kreme.
I wonder are they gonna shake hands at the end of the game. I said, because I know how kids,
Right.
sometimes even coaches, the finality of it being over, the season over, and
Yep.
you put all this in it, and then you got to look at the person that knock you out. Some people can't handle it.
Yeah, for sure. It hurts. Hey, trust me, it's a hurting thing. I done been on the other side 3 years in a row.
Well, Gary, it would have been 3 scores if they could get touchdowns and 2-point conversions. And different game, but if I remember correctly, Concord got 3 touchdowns in 5 minutes. But I didn't think there was any chance that West Charlotte was going to get 3 touchdowns in 5 minutes because they hadn't gotten a touchdown in,
touchdowns. First downs was hard to come by.
Exactly. I mean,
But
this was
our O line
this
and
was
D line played lights out. They played some ball tonight. They really played really good. Both O line D line did.
Coach,
someone asked
like,
me.
Coach,
I guess he's going to be a new coach on your staff this coming January, and he said, "Who do I think's better, the West Charlotte offensive line or the Huff defensive line?" Now, this was well into the game, and I said, West Charlotte's got a really good offensive line, but they've just the Huff front 7 has just played phenomenal tonight against that group. And you did.
Lights out, man.
Coach, was it your, and you could tell me now because West Charlotte's getting over, but was it your game plan to make Nichols have to throw the ball outside the numbers because he looked
we
like
wanted
he couldn't
him.
see,
We wanted him
from
to
numbers and
throw the
numbers.
ball inside the pocket. We didn't
Yeah,
want him to get outside that much because
right,
he's dangerous when he get outside the pocket and he's done a great job this year keeping his eyes downfield when he's scrambling, which hurts. And like we told our guy, man, listen, we'd rather him run for 10 to 15 yards than him throw a 40, 50-yard touchdown pass.
right.
But that was the plan to try to keep him inside the pocket. You know what I'm saying? And they did a hell of a job, doing the game plan.
Gary, you'll like this. I think it was Chachi that said this, but he yelled out at Samari, said, "Let him get a catch." He's trying to get, I forget who was, split out, but he was hollering out at Samari, said, "Let him get a catch. He wants to play college ball too." And Samari
Hey,
said,
listen,
"No."
I told Grind at 7-on-7. I think Nicholson is a hell of a receiver. Like I think he's pretty good. I told Grind we did the 7-on-7. Nicholson caught the 2 touchdowns on us, and I said, Sam, our 9 ain't even playing. Like he ain't even here. He's on a college trip. And he was like, "Yeah, but it don't matter, big." I said, "Okay, all right." I don't know if Nicholson had a catch tonight,
I don't recall one.
I
Coach Baker,
don't
how
either.
long you been with Huff now?
including my offensive coordinator years.
Yes, sir.
I say this is my 7th year with the program because I was
Okay.
offensive coordinator. I left for 3 years, and then this is my 3rd year as the head coach.
Okay, I got you. Just out of curiosity, do you remember an English teacher named Marcel Nance?
Yeah, I remember Miss Nance. Yeah.
Okay, I went to college with her. She grew up and she went to Albemarle High School when I went to North Stanley. We were long time friends. So anyway, I know she's down in Georgia now. So
Yeah, I remember Miss Nance. She was good people.
yeah, she's a good person. So
Mhm.
well, Coach, I know first thing I want to say is I want you to get warm, man. I'm just looking at you right now. I'm still cold. I mean, you
Hey
just
man, I'm out eating wings and having a good time.
okay. Well, you're already warmed up now, but
Well,
we
Coach,
want you to go ahead and
one
celebrate. You got
thing
one
I
to celebrate
know,
here.
one thing, Coach, I know is the staff was unified because even the coaches on your staff, I don't know personally. I know half your staff personally, but the ones that I didn't even know came up to me and say, "We gonna wear them out." And you told me, and Chachi told me, and Bird told me. Everybody said, "Oh, we got this. We got." Y'all were very confident going into the game.
Well, we
And
knew I also knew, like, you know what I mean, like I knew their special teams isn't that great, and I knew they would give us one in the special team game. Like we knew that, and
yeah.
they did it in the second quarter. And once they,
And that's what I based my pick on. And I
yeah.
told Sam, I said, y'all, and me and Langston tell Sam this every year. You got to tighten that special team.
Well,
You got
why
to
did
tighten up.
why did Langston pick West Charlotte then?
Probably because he's a West Charlotte grad.
Hey, you tell Coach Hales he need to call me too. I need to tell him something. He gonna pick us and then revert because we hadn't been there. Well, hey, you got to get there to them, get the experience, right?
That's
That's
right.
right. Well, Coach, I have said that someone has to always. Langston says he's picking you in the finals. Teams have Butler had times of getting over the hump
Yeah.
back in those indie days, but eventually, good teams do get over the hump. It's not like they can't. They don't. I mean, you either are going to or not, and that
Right.
doesn't mean you can't get over the hump this year. And sure enough, you guys, and now nobody can use that one against you.
Hey man, but I mean, all jokes aside, we still gotta go out and finish the job. You know what I'm saying? It's great to get there, but we need to go out and finish the job. So we got to prepare and what I'm saying, do what we normally do to get this dub. Millbrook is a really good team. They got some ball players on defense, and so we just got to go out and prepare for them.
Did you come out of this game pretty healthy?
Yeah, we had no injuries, thank God.
Okay, good.
That's been a big thing with us the last 3-4 years. Like we go into these big games because we had to like last year we had to turn around and play Independence, then turn back around and play Mallet Creek for the second time, and we lose our starting rover and our nickel against Mallet Creek. So when we go to play Grimsley, we don't have those 2 guys, and we got 2 guys in there that could play, but they hadn't played that many snaps all year, and it kind of hurt us. But again, shoot, you got to stay healthy and get over the hump. So, thank God it's happening right now.
Yep. Well, congratulations, Coach. Y'all you outplayed them in all three phases as well as coaching. So,
Yep.
uh,
And I'm going to try to get some wings with you during the next week.
That's why I was thinking, like, wonder what kind of wings Coach Baker's eating. But anyway, Coach, we wish you the best, man. Congratulations. I hope you celebrate. And
Yeah.
I guess we'll run into each other in about 13 days, is my guess. So.
All right, man. I appreciate y'all.
All right, brother.
All right, thanks.
That was Coach Baker from Huff. A big statement win tonight, 24-0 over West Charlotte. So let's go ahead and look at the scoreboard here. We'll start with the 1As and 2As. On the 1As tonight, Robbinsville beats South Davidson 41-7, and Wilson Prep beats Pinetown Northside 50-22. And that game is going to be played. Probably it's going to be on the 11th. It'll be Robbinsville versus Wilson Prep. I think that's going to be a very good matchup. We can talk about that a little bit later. In the West, Murphy over Corvian 49-40. Star Mountain, a big statement win, 58-22 over Mitchell. Tarboro all over East Bladen, 54-7. And Warren County beats Holmes 40-14. I was kind of surprised by that last score. I thought Holmes would handle Warren County. Corvian, Dale, I know that was the team that you were really big on in 2As. Who's your team now in the 2A West?
Well, I always thought that it would be tough for them to get by Robbinsville. So, gonna have to stick there.
Okay, I'm talking about the 2As. You think Murphy or Star Mounts?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. I'm sorry. I'm looking to the right.
That's all right. And I think Tarboro's going to handle in Warren County. Let's go ahead and look at the 3As. Let's go ahead and look at the 3As, 4As. Gary, I know I'll bring you in around the 5A, 6A. Is probably your more.
I'm clueless right here.
Lincolnton all over West Davidson 55-20. And Shelby beats Eastern Randolph, holds on and beats them 43-41. It was 43-35. Eastern Randolph scores a touchdown, goes for 2, doesn't make it. Shelby beats Eastern Randolph again 43-41. In the East, Kinston, it was kind of going back and forth between Kinston and Northeastern. Kinston wins 28-24. And James Keenan all over Farmville Central 51-32. Next week is going to be Shelby at Lincolnton. That's a rematch. Earlier in the season, Lincolnton beat Shelby by a couple points. And Kinston at James Keenan, that's going to be a really good battle on that one. Dale, just kind of going to get your thoughts. It's hard to beat Shelby twice in the season. I don't know if it's been done anytime recently. Any thoughts about that one?
Yeah, I'm going to think about that and maybe.
Yeah, same here. We'll have to bring that back on Wednesday. And Kinston, James Keenan, that's going to be a pretty good game too. Kinston's just got on fire at the right time of the season.
Yeah, and I thought they had a shot at winning this game. I really did. I still think Keenan's going to be a tough. This might be their year, at least making it to the championship.
And we'll look at the 4As on the West. Brevard, they beat Pisgah 49-28. That's the second time this year that Brevard's beaten Pisgah. And Maiden squeaks by Highbrighton 29-28. I think it was in the second quarter. Highbrighton was up 14-7. Maiden scores a touchdown. They go for 2, and the score was 15-14. They always had that 1-point lead. It went from 1-point lead to 6 points down. And anyway, Maiden scores a touchdown, wins by 1 point. Reedsville beats Central Davidson. That's football in a phone booth, as Chris Hughes says. Reedsville wins 53-20. And West Craven 40, Southwest Edgecombe 12. At halftime, that score that was 12-12. Next week, Maiden at Brevard and West Craven and Reedsville. I think that West Craven Reedsville is going to be a game to go to. I might think about going to that one. Maiden Brevard, I think that's another good one. I like Brevard's chances in that one. Dale, any thoughts about that one?
I'm just wondering why this quarterfinals on the left, 4A, 3A is kind of messed up.
Yeah, no, it is what it is. We're going to
Yeah.
improvise.
No, but it's messing me up.
Okay.
What was your question again? Was it about Reesville?
I was going to say your thoughts about those two semifinal games.
Well, I thought that Maiden had a really good shot at the game tonight. That was my thoughts back in the middle of the week, and I think Reedsville's. So Maiden and Brevard, I think, will be a great ball game. I still probably would lean towards a Brevard, but I don't know. I want to think about that now.
I'll tell you what, if Brevard and Reedsville make it to the state championship, that'd be a good game to be in Lenore-Ryan. That'd be a really good game. That's a very centralized location between those two schools.
It would be, yeah. That would be the right place to put it.
Exactly. And let's go ahead and look at the 5As, 6As. Gary, we'll get you into this one now. Crest 28, South Point 14. South Point had a lead going into, I think, in the third quarter, and Crest scores, and Crest holds on and wins 28-14. Hickory, J.M. Robson, that was a pretty close game. I don't think I ever saw a score more than a touchdown ahead during that game. Hickory wins 36-29. In the East, Croatan was actually ahead of Hunt for the vast majority of the game, but Hunt does score at the end, and Croatan went for, I think, a 30-some yard field goal, missed it when the time expired, and Hunt wins 32-29. And Jacksonville Northside beats Rocky Mount 21-6. I know a lot of people were big on Rocky Mount, but that Northside Hunt game is going to be an interesting one in the East. However, I think the winner of the 5A is going to come out of the West. I think it's going to either be Crest and Hickory. That is a matchup I think all of us would love to see.
Yeah, I like Crest right now. Really do.
I hear you on that. I like both of those teams. I think it's hard to beat a Joe Glass team, as a lot of people know. And Joe Glass is probably saying, "Oh, Jim, please tell everybody that you're going to pick Crest."
So you're picking Hickory over Crest early.
Well, you know what? I'm going to have to talk to Joe before I do that. I got to get permission to select Hickory, because he may want me to pick Crest. For whatever reason, whenever I pick against his team, he riles up his troops. So
yeah, but it's got to be a sincere pick.
Yeah, exactly. I'll make it a sincere. I'll make it a sincere pick. Gary, just had thoughts on that. I know you, Crest and Hickory. These are two big names over the years. Any thoughts on that?
I picked Crest, and by the way, I went 6-0 tonight, fellas. The last 4 weeks I've been on the road, but I picked Crest because I just thought South Point would be too one-dimensional, and I think you have to be able to have a counter. You if somebody's taking away the run, you got to be able to throw, and somebody's doing a great job stopping your passing attack, you got to be able to run. And I just think that South Point probably was a little bit too one-dimensional. And then when I looked at Hickory and Robinson, Robinson's had an outstanding season, but as you get deeper in the playoffs, I thought that the change in weather and experience and all of those intangible things you can't really measure, would play into Hickory's favor. I know Robinson is a fairly young team. They got a lot of kids coming back. So I thought they would get a taste of it this year, and looked like they almost pulled it off. But I think next year will be Robinson's year. I think
Gary, the thing is,
huh?
I was just going to say that South Point's been one-dimensional as long as I have known them, but they aren't. Because they don't throw the ball a lot. Their offense still has multiple points of attack that they can that they're able to deploy or employ, however you want to put it.
And I'm gonna take your word for that, deal, because I hadn't seen them in person in 15 to 20 years.
I got you. It's so they face Crest a lot, and I think I don't think that was the issue here. One of the things that you can see is that this game was played a lot closer than I think most people, at least at Talking Preps, thought it would be played because of what the first score was. But uh, this
This is
is
about this is about the score I thought it was going to be, but it was actually closer than that. I mean,
the
very close for a lot of the game.
so Gary, the game was really close throughout. The the thing, Gary, is of course playing at South Point probably helps a lot. Just as I was thinking tonight, and Alex used to always say, home
Yeah,
field
home
doesn't
field
mean
doesn't
anything.
matter. Yeah.
You know what? I guarantee you that um, Huff was better able to make their adjustments and look at things. Also, actually look at they reviewing the huddle stuff and all
Mm-hmm.
in a locker room than standing out, huddled around some propane tanks, and those same kinds of things probably helped South Point out tonight. But that Crest is just a phenomenal team.
Right.
It's good to see Robinson play well. I
Let's go
really
on to
thought they had a
let's
shot
go on
at
to
it,
the
but
6As here. Northern Guilford, they all over Ashbrook. I mean, this game wasn't even close. It was like 31-0 at halftime. And I had to go back and look at it, the score a couple times because I just didn't see this happening. A shutout scoring. I mean, Ashbrook had this great defense and final score 39-14. That one right there was the shock of the game or this of the week for me or tonight. Just seeing that dominant win. I did listen to the Watauga Sun Valley game. This game, Sun Valley would just grind the ball down the field. Watauga wouldn't look all that great. Next thing you know, they throw a 75-yard touchdown. They win 31-28. Jacksonville was all over Union Pine, so the game wasn't even close. 34-7. Middle Creek, this is a mild upset here to me. Middle Creek beat Northern Nash 31-24. So there was a couple upsets in the 6As there. Dale, thoughts about the Northern Guilford Ashbrook game?
none right now. Didn't go the way I thought it would.
Yeah, just how about you, Gary?
Well, I listened to you guys for the last 2 weeks, with Chris, along with Chris and Brian, and everybody sang the praises of Northern Guilford. I didn't know much about them, but I do know that Ashbrook has had to come back for, in a couple of games. They've had to make a comeback. It may have gotten off the slow starts. And I just figured after listening to you guys and the fact that Ashbrook was going to have to go on the road, eventually you can't come back every game. You just got to lead from start to finish. And, I kind of hedged. I've been picking Ashbrook all year. This is the first week that I haven't picked Ashbrook. And it was just really based on what I heard all you guys say about Northern Guilford. As far as Watauga and Sun Valley, I was the first one that said weather wasn't going to matter. But we did, I forgot the kid's name, but we did, players of the week, and they had a guy on there from Watauga that won it last week. He was one of the kids we highlighted. And just looking at those highlights of Watauga made me think about Sun Valley. Because I saw Sun Valley this summer, back in August at the scrimmage at Huff. And I was impressed, even though, West Charlotte beat them. I just was impressed with Sun Valley's physicality to be a 6A team and some of their skill players. But, after looking at the highlights of Watauga, I said, well, and then they said what the wind was going to be like. I was like, well, if it's windy, that ball doesn't travel the way you expect it to a lot of times. Just depends on which direction it's going. And I thought that might hinder Sun Valley's passing game just enough to allow Watauga to win. And it looks like that's what happened.
So You know what? I like the West in this the 6A championship game. I know we got next week's the semifinals, but right now I think Northern Guilford and Watauga are probably the top two teams in the 6As. Any disagreement?
I think it'll be a good game. Where is it going to be?
The game Watauga is going to be
It's
going
going
to
to
be
be
hosting that game.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I see it now. I wasn't paying attention. Okay.
All right, let's go ahead and look at the 7As and 8As, and we'll really dive into the 8As in just a little bit. In the 7As, I'm sure we'll get the scores up here in just a second. Well, we'll talk about one of them. We know about Weddington. Obviously, they beat Grimsley tonight, 21-6.
Independence.
Independence. Yeah, Independence. Thank you. Gosh, sorry, it's getting late already. Mr. Producer, we can get it over to the 7As and 8As. I know we have it on here. Well, we'll get it on here in a second. But anyway, Weddington beats Independence 21-6. And Grimsley, you know, it was a pretty close game for a while. It was 10-7, and they were playing Reagan. And then I think it was 17-7 the third quarter. Next thing you know, it's 24-7. That was the final game. That Weddington Grimsley game, I think that's the 7A matchup we've been waiting for.
Yeah, I think it is. I think Weddington's got a lot to prove to themselves. They don't have anything to prove to football fans around the state because they're one of the top 5 programs, I would say, in the state. But I think they have a lot to prove to themselves. As far as going up against Grimsley, it should be a great game. I thought that Independence would be competitive, and they were, but I just didn't know how they would be able to block. What they got 4 kids that are high D1 in their front 7, and I just that's unusual, especially in North Carolina, to have that many D1 kids on the same unit, and I just didn't think Independence had enough people up front. I thought they might be able to match up skill wise, but the games are won in the trenches, and so that's why I picked Weddington. I didn't think it would be. And I believe the score is closer than it indicates from my follow-ups, and then listening to Coach Capone, that they both had their share of turnovers, and that's one of the things I said Sunday, that Indy couldn't afford to have any turnovers if they were going to pull the upset. So it's I don't get into the point spread when it comes to high school sports, but I think the scores, listening to Coach Capone, the score was closer than it indicates.
Well, right. Gary, I think one thing was answered that was a big question for me, and that was, could Independence handle the physicality of Weddington? And part of it is that not just that front 4, but the front 7 of Weddington on defense, but the other way as well, because that was without question the issue, and it was a big issue 2 years ago. There was a huge separation in those two teams, and DJ has done a good job. No matter where Weddington is at right now, we still know they're one of the top teams in the state, and we still know that as a program, they do the same things with weightlifting, and the kids are about the same size. So what this tells me is DJ has brought Independence up in physicality. So I think that means a lot for them next season.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we got a great game next week. Weddington at Grimsley. It is in Greensboro. In the East, Colonel Gibbons, they had their hands full tonight. They were behind Gardner for a good portion of the third quarter and also in the fourth quarter, but they finally get ahead and beat Gardner 16-14. Next week they'll host Clayton, who beat Southeast Raleigh 35-21. I think late in the third quarter, the game was all tied, and Clayton got a couple touchdowns to seal the deal.
Now,
You know what?
when we had the coach from Southeast Raleigh on Wednesday night, I don't know if I messed up hearing what he said, but didn't they beat Clayton early in the season?
They did. They beat Clayton. I forgot what the score was, but it was interesting because Southeast Raleigh beat Clayton. Clayton beat Gardner and beat Cleveland. And I mean, it was all these. There's 4 really good teams in that conference, and none of them had each one of them lost to one other team. So it was like a Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, Joe Frazier type of conference.
Norton. Yeah.
Ken
I remember
Norton,
that.
yeah.
We're giving away our age on here, Jim.
And then there's a couple of Jerry Corys that we won't mention, but or Ernie Shaver. We could even throw in Ernie Shaver. Ernie Shaver wasn't a bad heavyweight either. Clayton and Cardinal Gibbons. That's going to be a pretty decent game. That game will be at Cardinal Gibbons. That's another one. If you're in the Triangle, I think that's be the game to go to. Right now, I'm gonna withhold my pick, but I think I do expect a very close one in both of the East and the West. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the 8As tonight. I guess everybody knows by now that Huff beats West Charlotte 24-0. What we haven't really talked about much was Millbrook beating Hoggard 14-7. At halftime, the score was 7-0, and Millbrook does score a couple touchdowns in the second half to seal the deal. My guess that game's going to be played at Keenan Stadium on Thursday. That's what we've been kind of hearing the rumblings about. The 1A and 8A will be on Thursday, December 11th. Anybody want to talk a little bit about I know we talked about the Huff West Charlotte game, a little bit about Millbrook Hoggard, but the matchup between Huff and Millbrook, what's your thoughts?
Well,
my early picks Huff. I'm
more familiar with Huff. I've been going by what I've heard on the show all year, especially from Chris, about how tough Millbrook is on defense. It's an opportunity to get some fresh faces in the state championship game. Millbrook hadn't been in it in a while, have they? I know.
No, it's been. Yeah.
So we'll be introducing the state to 2 new high-level programs, and I'm of course I'm gonna pull for Huff because that's the local team for me. I've known Coach Baker since he was in high school as a quarterback over at Waddell. So and I'm friends with quite a few guys on the Huff staff, but you just kind of hope in the case of Huff that they didn't win the state championship tonight, if you know what I mean. Because this was the hurdle that the school had to get over. And I don't want to put all that on the kids because most of these kids on that team weren't there when Huff, choked that game against Vance a few years ago. And most of these kids weren't on some of the teams that Huff was expected to do better in the playoffs and didn't do as well. And I'm not sure how many kids on that team when they lost 2 years ago to Grimsley. So
a lot of them are, Gary. And so it's been
there was a lot of sophomores that year.
Yeah.
They played actually. So the one thing I was going to say though, that about that Grimsley game next week, it seems like there's always people always wanted to say the refs get involved whenever there's a home game with Grimsley. These refs that are going to be reffing next week, they have nothing to do with Grimsley whatsoever. I mean, they're just assigned to that game.
Yeah, and tonight's crew was very good. I thought tonight's crew was very good because I saw some calls that maybe could have been made but they let them play. They let them play tonight. You know,
I think they were exceptional.
yeah, I thought they were good officiating tonight.
I didn't send the video, and I don't know if you remember the play, but there was a PI call against West Charlotte going towards the field house.
I remember the play.
It was a good call.
That
was a good call. He grabbed he kind of grabbed him from, around the hips, back, lower part of the hips. It was definitely a PI call, but overall, and that crew is from the Guilford County area, so they're out of that association. Is where they came from. Because again, that's I always talk to the crews to find out. And first thing I asked them was, "Where are you guys from?" And the first three guys I asked were actually out of Greensboro. Now, it doesn't mean all 7 of them were, but they were all out of that same association, which is up in the Guilford County area.
I thought they did a good job of just letting the kids play.
Yeah,
and I didn't see the coaches on either staff really, getting on them. And, I didn't see the officials, staying on the staffs about get back, keep your kids or keep your coaching staff off the field. I didn't see any of that little petty stuff that officials like to turn to, in a big game. They didn't. The best thing you can say about any officiating crew is you didn't notice them.
right.
And I didn't notice them tonight.
So Gary, I thought the side judge, and I guess there's a side judge and a wing official. I don't know how the officiating crews work out with 7, but the guys that are against the sideline did a good job of communicating with the coaches and in that getting them back so that they had room to run. So they did a good job of communicating and letting the coaches that they needed to get back. Chachi is real bad about getting up and out. And I remember one instance where the official was, telling him. And, it counters the game last week with Myers Park and West Charlotte, where West Charlotte got a penalty called on them because official ran into someone as they were going down, having to go down to follow a fast moving play.
Because that's dangerous.
It is dangerous, and that's why they need to be back. And I just felt like the crew overall, I didn't hear any. And quite honestly, there weren't a ton of penalties. There were.
No, there weren't. Even and I sat on West Charlotte's, after they kicked off, and they weren't even complaining, and their fans, when they start losing, it's somebody's fault, and they weren't complaining about the officiating. So
no, there weren't. I didn't see any questionable calls except for that touchdown, which.
We got
really,
6.
huh?
I say we just saw it in slow motion a few minutes ago. That was a touchdown.
No, he got his foot down, but his, the amount of time that the ball I think was actually secured in his hands. I don't know, Gary. It was a little bit of a bobble as he was going.
I think Langston stopped. He stopped the highlight in time. I think it was a touchdown.
It was where he caught it, but Gary, you gotta maintain it in your hands.
Here we go.
And now watch here. Now watch. Now right now the ball's coming up. You see, now he's had to pull the ball up, and the ball actually lifted up out of his hands. It's hard to see, but anyway, they called it a touchdown. But there were no. I didn't hear I don't know if the West Charlotte coaches complained about it or not, but overall. There were not a lot of penalties. Most of the penalties were in play as well. There weren't a lot of pre-snap penalties. I made sure that play got in there because it was a great hit.
I don't know about you, but my shoulder just started hurting just seeing that, thinking about, being 27 degrees outside. And,
I wondered if on that fake punt, Gary, that was also a semi-bad snap, wasn't it?
I don't remember. I thought it took a lot of guts for Sam to call it, and it was ideal because Huff, most teams don't look for a fake punt until the other team gets to midfield or
Mm-hmm.
they're desperate to come back. That game was still 0-0 and be punting from your own 20 and call a fake. I mean, that takes some guts. And I think because you don't expect it, the Huff punt return team relaxed, and I mean he had a wall.
I think what happened, Gary, and I may be wrong, but the ball was snapped a little to his right. West Charlotte had bad punt snaps tonight, a bunch. They had 3 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it went a little to his right and was a little low, and my read on it was that he has the option of being able to determine if he can run. And he just went ahead and ran, and
so you don't think it was a call?
I don't know. It's hard for me to say. Initially I didn't think it was a call. No, I thought when he came up, when he came up with the ball, Huff didn't rush. Huff was like laid back for a return, and you could see on that right side where he ran to, it was like wide open.
Yeah.
And what did he have to get? Was it 4 yards or 6 yards?
It was 4th and 4, I think, something like that.
4th and 4, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But from your own 20, you're like, whoa. And what did he get? 25 yards on that?
He got about 25 yards.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if I'd ask Sam. I stayed on the Huff sideline tonight. I don't know if you noticed that. Well, you didn't even know I was there.
I couldn't tell who you were. You were so wrapped up.
And Sam told me twice to stay on the Huff side. I said, okay. And I just stayed on the Huff side. I didn't know I'd get chewed out on the Huff side.
That was all by design, Dale. Chachi and Sam were conspiring against you. Where are you guys going to be next week?
Don't know yet.
I want to see Weddington and Grimsley.
That's a game I'm thinking about.
I might watch it online, or
I can't go to Greens. If I go to Greensboro, I may not be able to get back here in time. That's my concern.
I'm thinking about going to Reidsville and West Craven, that 4A game. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I need
like
this.
Weddington and Grimsley.
Tell you what, the game to go to, Dale, that Hickory and Crest game, that's going to be a good one.
Yeah, but if that is at Crest.
Was it Crest or Hickory? Tell you what, can we get the scores? Let's see if we can get the scores up for the 5A, 6A. Because we'll have the.
I'm gonna think where I'm gonna go Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. I don't know.
Okay, I gotcha. There's a lot of good things to do. I know it's getting late. We're about an hour ahead here, or hour into it. It's going to be at Hickory. So.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah,
I know it wouldn't be at the Watauga game. I don't care if it's right next door. If it's like 15-degree wind chill factor like it is today, forget about it.
I would even consider Lincolnton. Was Lincolnton at home?
Yes, they'll be hosting Shelby.
Yeah, so see, I might even would consider that game.
Gotcha.
Quite honestly.
Yeah, you got some pretty good ones on just to the west of you, Dale. So.
Yeah, there's probably a number I can give consideration to. If it was at Weddington, I'd go to Weddington, but
Starbound, Murphy, Murphy's a long way. Tarboro, it's a long way for me. So
I'm gonna go to Tarboro. Yeah, that's where I'm gonna go.
I've been to Tarboro before. Tarboro's a great place to go. It's a great stadium. Their JV team could beat most of the 2A, 3A, and 4A teams. So just keep that in mind, guys.
Gary said he'd drive me. He said he'd drive me out there, so we'll go to Tarboro.
Kinston at James Keenan, that's over in Warsaw, Duplin County, that is. Shelby at Lincolnton. That game is at Lincolnton. Maiden and Brevard, could be a cold one, and West Craven at Reidsville. Got some pretty decent one. We've already done the 5A, 6A, and the 7A is going to be the game's going to be over. Grizzly and Cardinal Gibbons.
That Shelby Lincolnton game looks the most enticing to me.
Gotcha. Let's let's look at the score or the picks here. I went 0-1, 1-1, 1-2, 2-2, 3-2, and I went 3-3.
I went 6-0.
Yeah, you're on fire, Gary.
Yeah, so I got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and
You were
2.
3-3, Dale.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't do Robinson. That's right. Yeah, I didn't do too well, Gary, which is okay.
How did Langston do? Because he's leading. Let's see. He lost 1, 2, 3. He went 3
He
and
went
3
3 and
too.
3. Yeah.
So
Gary's ready to take him to school. Be the bus driver.
how did No Limit do?
0-1, 1-1, 1-2, 2-2, 2-3, 2-4. He went 2-4.
Right, No Limit, yeah, because I remembered he had picked South Point.
All right, Dale, we're an hour in. Let's want to go ahead and get you a chance to do your final thoughts for tonight by Jack Candy. Okay, I just had to do that.
So, man, the only thing I could think about tonight was how much my fingers hurt, and I had gloves on. My right hand from last knuckle down to fingertip. I know what frostbite feels like. So, my final thoughts are that the kids that played tonight in all of these environments across the state, we have cold weather here. More power to you. I One of the things at halftime, as I'm sitting there trying to warm up, there were a couple of uh, young school age girls there, and one of them, the pants that she's wearing are like pajama, bottoms, and I asked her, I said, I hope you got some thermals on underneath that. And she said, no. And I said, your parents let you come out here in this? And she said, my dad's up there, and pointed up in the stands. And uh,
Was
the
he
other
wearing
final,
pajamas?
the other final thought as I was leaving out, and DeAndre and I were talking. Someone said, "Is that Dale Ross?" And we were having to stand at the gate because they were letting all the fans, the Huff fans, come out onto the field, and it just took forever for them to come through that little gate. And so one of those fans said, "Is that Dale Ross?" And I had my mask down, and I said, "Yeah." So she comes over and she said, "I want a picture." So this is the first time this has happened to me. So she wanted a selfie with me. So if you're still watching, thank you. I'm glad I have 3 fans at least. But really, it was just the temperature was so extreme tonight that see kids play in this environment and thrive is something else. That's it.
That's
You know,
good. I'm glad they
I
were taking
know
a picture.
I know Dale had the final thought, but I just want to say kudos to the Huff game staff. I thought they did a great job. One thing that I really like that I saw tonight is a lot of former Huff players were able to come down to the field house area, um, and encourage this current team. You
Mhm.
know, I'm sure a lot of these guys are in college now, and they were home for the holiday, and they came down and wish the younger kids luck tonight. I thought that was great, and the parking team, they got me close to the stadium, and it was just a good experience, and I'm happy for Huff. That's another CMS school that has made it to the state championship. So kudos and congratulations to Coach Baker and his staff.
Well stated, Gary. There's a lot of plays you can get a hold of us next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and even Friday at 11:30. And please, everybody, hope I can just say Talking Preps OT. I just have this thing I want to call it Talking Preps Plus. I just got to get through that. Mental barrier here. It is Talking Preps OT on Wednesday night at 8:30. Well, from Jim West, from Dale Ross, and from Gary Richmond, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Stay warm.